meeting shall come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll. Oh, Madam Clerk. Oh, Madam Clerk. I'll call the roll. No.
That's what happened. You start early.
Madam Clerk. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Present.
Moores. Neal.
Present.
Price.
Present.
Raines.
Here.
Ballard.
Here.
Sagasser.
Here.
Ross.
Okay, there is a quorum. We shall move ahead. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'm sure all of you read the number of minutes that for the number of sessions that are eliminated here. I will entertain a motion. I presume. Do we need to take time? Maybe not. I entertain a motion to approve the minutes listed here. That,
Wait, you want to do the agenda first?
Oh, I beg your pardon. I'm sorry. I entertain a motion to accept the agenda.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. We've adopted tonight's agenda. There are a number of minutes for a number of meetings that are listed here. Shall we give a moment, or shall we just go ahead and entertain a motion to accept?
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. We've approved the minutes of the number of meetings listed on the agenda. Now then, for bills and financial reports, is that Mr. Relaford, or do we just need to
Review on your own.
okay?
No.
All right. Have any of you looked over these? Gone through some of the numbers?
Mm-hmm.
Is it, or should we just go ahead and move on them? All right. If you would rather not go through the pages and the numbers, hopefully you have taken time to study those. I'm entertaining a motion to approve the bills and financial reports.
I move we pay the bills.
Second.
Those in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. We've approved the bills and financial reports. Now then, for the highlight of the evening, we would like two new people to come forward for Elmer Lee Cannon, or I think it goes by Lee. Is that correct? Do you go by Lee? Please step forward, sir. And Jacob Davis. Please step forward. These two gentlemen have recently joined our police force and have been sworn in, and we want to give them our most hearty congratulations and Godspeed in your task to keep our city safe, and we want to welcome you. Around here and let us shake your hand. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I didn't want this to be a new hire. We want this to be special. So I guess I would call you Chief Johns, but you won't be chiefing for just a few minutes here. Please step forward, sir. Well, sir, I don't have to explain that this is an extremely great honor for all of us and a great special moment in the life of our city. You have come extremely highly recommended. You presented yourself wonderfully well to this board, and after considering your credentials and your background and the people who have worked with you so long, it was an easy, unanimous choice that we accepted you as our brand new chief of police. And so it is my decided and great honor to officially read you the oath. And so if you raise your right hand, and I will read the oath and have you respond appropriately. Do you, Christopher Johns, solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States, the Constitution of the State of Missouri, and that you will faithfully demean yourself in the office of police chief for which you are hired, commencing on the first day of June 2025? Thank you very much. Congratulations, and best wishes to you all. Be sure to. Thank you, sir.
Congrats, Chief. We'll get it right.
Congratulations.
You're good.
So glad to.
It's a tradition that I do. Thank you for coming.
Mr. Elford, let us hear from the city administrator. Thank you.
Planning and zoning. Planning and zoning.
Oh, gosh darn it, thank you, I'm sorry. I entertain a motion to have a to have Steve Skopek fill the current vacancy of the one-year position on the Planning and Zoning Committee.
So moved.
Second.
Does that require a voice vote?
A voice vote would be just
Okay.
fine, Mr. Mayor.
Those in favor of accepting Mr. Skopek, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. The ayes have it. Mr. Skopek is now duly appointed to the Planning and Zoning Commission to fill the one-year vacancy, and thank you, everyone, for keeping me on track. Now then, Mr. Elford.
Yes, sir. All right, just a few quick items. It won't be long at all. So, first of all, you probably see we have a deputy fire chief position open right now. We have 11 applicants at this point. So, we'll be looking over those applicants soon and hopefully get somebody hired in the next couple weeks. Auction. We had an auction. You know, when we get rid of some of our equipment, we found the best ways to put this out at auction. It seems like we get the most money out of it. So we just had a recent one and got back $17,000 almost. Almost $8,000 to the fire department, $4,000 to the police department, and almost $5,000 for the parks. And so all of that will go back into their general fund. So we're really doing good with the Gov's deal. Blue Shield nomination, that package has been submitted. So soon, that's, if you recall, that's where this is Governor Kehoe's initiative would be named a Blue Shield Police Department if we meet certain qualifications, which would open us up for grants, training, etc. Summer hires. As you know, we hire a lot of people during the summer, roughly 50. The majority of that are lifeguards. It takes a lot to run the pool. But we also have several people working with Red out the park. We have hired somebody to work in the golf course. So hiring a lot of kids over the summer. I think it's good for everybody. Earlier this month, we reinvested 2 securities totaling $1.35 million at 3.8%. So not bad. This is kind of middle of the road as far as our percentage. We've had, I think, up to 4.5, and we have some of our long-term ones are more like 2.5. So not a bad rate. You might have seen it. We have some. Our radar signs have moved around the community. We have one out by CMH to kind of monitor that traffic along there at 83 in Oakland. We had some people that were kind of driving kind of fast coming south on 83, and we repositioned the one from Forest to Hartford to follow that traffic. Obviously, the school's out now, but we're gonna monitor that as well to keep the speeds down there. And then, lastly, I'm gonna knock on wood here. We've had some good news on the grant front. You've heard us talk about that solar grant. It looks like that's a green light go. Things look really, really good there. So we'll continue working on that one. And also the Dunnigan Trail asphalt project looks really, really good too. So let's just cross our fingers. We'll do what we have to do on our end to make sure we tie everything up and make sure we get everything answered. But those both look pretty positive. Any questions for me?
I got one quick question. The radar signs that we have, are we going to get that data to kind of like
We can.
see and how you
Yeah.
know the traffic's been going and speeds and things like that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, we talked about that today. I think we've got some false readings. Forest is kind of a really short street, and we got some data back that we don't think is accurate, so we're going to sort through that, but we can give you some numbers on that.
And then just a side note, good job on the grants. It seems like
Yeah.
we're getting more and more grant opportunities,
Mhm.
and of course, the more grants we get, the more things we can do as a city. So that's awesome that you guys are doing so well with those. So really
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle Lee, Community Development, and Kevin Kelly, who works for Kyle down there, doing a fantastic job spearheading that.
Questions, comments?
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Alford.
We need to accept his report.
Okay. I entertain a motion to accept the report of the administrator.
So moved.
There.
Those in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. We have accepted the administrator's report. I'm entertaining a motion to accept the bill number 2025-27.
First reading.
Second.
Counselor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is Bill number 2025-27, ordinance number 4049, an ordinance authorizing a contract with Clint Webb's Backhoe Service Incorporated for the city's grave digging services.
Questions, comments? I think that's about as straightforward as it can get. Second reading. Oh, okay. Second reading.
Second.
Oh, sorry. Entertaining a motion for second reading.
Oh, sorry.
That was
Okay,
Brian.
sorry. Counselor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is Bill number 2025-27, ordinance number 4049, an ordinance authorizing a contract with Clint Webb's Backhoe Service Incorporated for the city's grave digging services.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Rains,
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Sagasser.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Okay. 7 ayes and 0 noes. We have accepted the bill number 2025-2027. I'm entertaining a motion for the acceptance of bill number 2025-28.
First reading.
Second.
Counselor.
This is Bill number 2025-28, ordinance number 4050, an ordinance authorizing a mutual aid services agreement with the city of Buffalo, Missouri for street sweeping, equipment, and services.
Questions and comments? Mr. Elford?
Yeah, we spoke about this last meeting. We got a request from Buffalo to provide street sweeper assistance. We're going to provide the equipment plus one of our staff members to do that at $95 per hour.
Questions and comments? Seeing none, I entertaining a motion for the second reading
Second
of
reading.
Bill 2025-27. Okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
I'm going to do the second reading really quick, Mr.
I
Mayor.
beg
I'm
your
sorry.
pardon, sir.
No, you're fine. This is Bill number 2025-28, ordinance number 4050, an ordinance authorizing a mutual aid services agreement with the city of Buffalo, Missouri for street sweeping, equipment, and services.
Okay. Without further comment, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Price.
Aye.
Wilson.
Abstain.
Neal.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Rains.
Aye.
Sagatser.
Aye.
7 ayes and 0 noes. We have accepted the bill number 2025-28. On to new business. I guess, Mr. Schrader, you are up. Parks and Recreation Annual Report. I hope we all had a chance to look through here. We're doing a lot.
Well, thank you. Yes. Okay. First off, our mission statement. This was put together by our staff here about 3 years ago. But real quick, I want to share this. To provide quality programs that will enhance our community and provide health and environmental value to our patrons and guests. I think at this time we are actively doing that. The quality programs, that's kind of our goal through this whole thing right here. And with our staff, we are trying to do that each year, and we're also looking for ways to improve that. So the main thing is for the mission is to provide quality programs. Next is our vision. This kind of ties with it a little bit. And the main word there is serve. We want to serve our community by offering broad-based programs and opportunities that will engage our patrons in recreational activities and provide a professional parks and recreational system. And I think we're moving forward with that as well. Our staff, this hasn't changed much in the last year or so, but I do want to point out Shauna, of course, does aquatics. We have Chase and Devin doing sports. Operations is Hannah. Rhett leads our park and cemetery supervision. Bolivar Golf Course and Cemetery Sexton is Charlie Welch. Parks and Rec Assistant, and he does maintenance for us as well as Derek Wells. And then our custodial staff. And Tom, if you haven't met him, Tom actually works at this rec center from 4 to 1 o'clock in the morning. So we brought him on less than a year ago, and it's really made a big difference to our facility. Aquatics, just a few things here. You can see there on the left what we offer: open swim, swim lessons. It's crazy we do not have enough time or enough space for the demand for swim lessons because of all the other things we do. Our Bolivar swim team takes up a lot of our pool time, our open swim, but Shauna has in the last year or so created more ways to get more swim lessons in. I think now we're offering 3 sessions instead of just 2, so she's been proactive in trying to get that accomplished. You can see our membership numbers. Swim team, how many we have. Last year, I expect that number to be above 80 this year. So we have a lot of kids. We actually get to host 2 swim meets, which is very exciting when we host that. I would recommend you come out to that, but then it's awful crowded, so I don't know. It's really crazy when we host those, but that's a neat.
Mr. Ross?
Hey, Todd, I got a quick question about swim.
Yes.
Do you guys offer the safety swimming for the toddlers
Infants.
and
We do
infants?
not, and here's why. We looked into that, but our water temperature has to be hotter, warmer,
Mhm.
and we can't regulate it that way.
Okay.
I think they require I may be off a degree or 2. I think our water temperature is around 83 degrees, and they require close to upper 80s to 90 for that.
Okay.
So we do not do that. I think next door at CMH pool over there at the senior center, I think they utilize that pool for
Okay.
a while, but I don't know where they are currently.
Okay.
So
Mr. Mayor, I had a question as well.
Go ahead, please.
Do you know how those numbers, the 2024 numbers, compare to the prior year? Just, I realize you don't have the pie in front of you, but like, are they about roughly the same as 2023 numbers? Do they represent an increase over 2023? When we're talking about things like pool memberships and swim lesson enrollment or swim team or anything like that, any idea how that compares?
Offhand, I don't know
Okay.
that. I mean, of course I can get that, but I
I'm just
don't know.
curious if we're seeing growth, year over year, or if this is about the capacity that we have right now, and the demand level that we have.
I mean, I'm gonna
Sure.
guess. I'm gonna guess
Sure.
they're higher,
Okay.
just because I think we're serving more people.
Sure.
But I don't know that without it,
Okay.
digging that. But I can have that information.
I'm just curious.
Yep.
Thank you.
Who are the
Welcome.
Bolivar Barracudas?
They are our youth swim team that we
Okay.
have. Yes, we're gonna have probably 80 kids this summer.
Okay.
Yep.
Go ahead, please.
Athletics, you can see all the youth sports that we offer, adult sports. We are going to add men's basketball. We're going to do that on a Sunday evening. I think that's where we're going to find that slot, so we're going to start that. We are going to have our first pickleball tournament hosted by the city. We're doing that the same Saturday as Country Days, which I think is September 6th this year. So we're going to have that down at the Cribs Park there for the courts. We'll implement that this year as well. You can kind of see our registrations. We host a lot of individual kiddos, teams. Our numbers, I know a few years ago we did compare with like Ozark, Republic, and some of them. We have just as many kids as a lot of those bigger cities have as far as hosting. Part of that is because we pull in some of the smaller towns around here. So our numbers are very, very solid and good on everything.
While you have the last slide, can you kind of talk about the gate admission? How much, the baseball field, I think we charge gate admission.
We do not charge for baseball,
Okay.
regular season, softball.
Okay.
We do charge, if we host a tournament, we do charge gate. We do charge for basketball in the winter, and that's 3 and 2 for a gate, but we don't charge for baseball, softball. That is maybe another conversation another time if we want to implement that, because I know some communities do that. And actually Chase asked me about that the other day, if we were maybe consider that down the road. So we do not do that currently for baseball or softball.
Thank you.
Okay. Here's our winter sport numbers, which are awesome. We host basketball at the school, both sessions, and those are our numbers. And just I want to give a shout out to the schools. They partner with us. They allow us to use their facilities. We use multiple gyms twice a year. I just wanted to let them know that we appreciate the partnership that they provide for that, because we could not do that without that. Soccer, you can see our numbers for spring is very solid. Youth volleyball we had this year. We had adult volleyball. Actually, he's not here, but Jonathan participated this year in volleyball, so he's got a little game in him still. So that's good. Here's our summer, fall numbers. You can see that for youth baseball. Just to show the different sports, the numbers, very solid.
How's that compared to previous years?
Very comparable, or as I'd say more as well on
Okay.
that too. Yeah, we just have. I know most of our numbers are either. I don't think none of them decline, so they either staying pretty level or increasing a little bit.
Okay.
Here's our summer, fall numbers as well. Very solid. Fitness. We offer fitness classes. Silver Sneakers is every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We have 3 classes we offer on those mornings. Have very good numbers there. We have multiple teachers for those classes. I think we have 3 teachers that rotate in that. We also have an aquatics class at 8:30 every day that's pretty highly attended this time of year. I think they've had as high as 22 people in that class. Some of our silver sneaker classes, they've had as high as 30 some in those classes, so our numbers are very well there. Fitness memberships are staying pretty consistent there. That's comparable to what we've done in the past. You can see some reservations, our daily pass numbers, what we get for people that come in for daily stuff. We offer quite a few classes, a lot of variety for our patrons to choose from on that. Golf course, you can see our memberships in 46, in 24. You can see what we brought in for tournaments, green fees, cart rentals. We got our new golf carts a couple weeks ago, and they are amazing. We increased our fleet from 14 carts to 20 because we were having some hiccups with some nights we were run out of carts. Some Saturday mornings we were out of carts by noon. So that's by increasing that fleet is helping with those hiccups.
I saw a big crowd out at the course the other day. Do you feel like overall, even without the membership numbers, that overall participation is strong or is up?
I think participation is higher. And another thing we did this year that we're staying open now till 8:30 at night. In the past, we've always they let carts go out maybe at 5:30, but that'd be about it. Now we put it in our budget that we have part-time help come in the evenings, and they actually monitor now the golf course in the evenings 7 days a week. So if you got there in the evenings, there's a lot more people playing this spring, this summer than there was last year because we're staying open longer. So we're hoping we'll check those numbers compared to last year once we kind of get through a few months here and see what our increase was for those evening golfers.
What are the green fees and the cart rental fees?
Cart rental is part of the green fees. Most green fees is going to be $20 and then or $15 for 18 and then 20. Depends on what day you go. If it's during the week or evening,
right.
Weekends. It's a little bit higher on the weekends.
Sure.
$20 for 18 with the cart.
Yeah.
Some guys that have membership just pay the cart fees and so on with that as well.
Yeah, I grew up on that course,
Yeah.
and I'm sure glad to see it running well.
Yeah, Charlie's got it clicking, so we're appreciative of the carts.
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead, please.
I was pleased, Todd, to see that this year we have 56 memberships, and last year we had 46, so we are increasing on that one.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, parks. You see all the parks listed. Of course, we're hopeful with the Trails Grant. We submitted it last year, didn't make it. We resubmitted it this year with Kevin's help. Kevin's got a knack for that kind of stuff, so we're hopeful that thing will go through. That will be a big benefit to Dunnigan if that does come to fruition on that, so we're hopeful. Crib Splash Pad opened up last weekend. Just to let everybody know, the Splash Pad opens Memorial Day weekend and it closes Labor Day weekend. So that's the window for the Splash Pad. The park's always open, but as far as the water for the kiddos, it's always Memorial Day through Labor Day.
Have the fountains and splashy things been? Has the operation of those been consistent? I mean, have you had any trouble with them not working?
We do have some that are down. Some of the heads are broke. It's going to be we haven't got a final, I guess, estimate on what it would take to fix those, but it would be some cost to fix those. How many heads are down there? 5 are down?
Oh my.
5 are down.
Okay. And how many are active then? So we have 17 that work, 5 that do not.
Okay.
And they're under concrete, so that's going to be kind of a...
Oh, really?
trick.
I mean, we have to jackhammer them out?
Yeah, you'll actually have to cut them.
Oh, my.
Fix the lines under because we don't own the water anymore, so...
Oh, yes.
It's quite an expense. So we shut those off and we run the ones that are working.
Are all the splasher things operated independently?
They're all operated by valves.
Yeah. I mean, you can shut each one of them on and off.
Them off so that they don't keep running water out the ditch.
Yeah. Okay. Oh wow. That's going to be a challenge, isn't
It
it?
can be a project, yes.
Mayor, do we
Go ahead.
have a name for our new? I'm looking at this lovely list of park names. And I'm wondering if we're going to always call the new park the inclusive park, or if it's going to end up with some kind of a name. If we wanted, I don't know if we wanted to offer the opportunity if someone in the community would like a park named after them and would like
Yeah.
to make a donation to make that happen. But I don't know if there was a plan to call it anything other than that new park over there.
We discussed that at the team lead meeting here a couple weeks ago, but we haven't come up
Nothing
with a
yet.
name.
Okay.
That might be a good community project to put out there and have people
Yeah.
send
Vote
us
in
some
the
names,
park.
and
All
then
right.
we can
Name the
vote on it.
park.
They're
Yeah.
in need of some benches, so if there's a donor out
Yeah.
there that would like to donate the benches, they can.
Benches,
Or a
shade.
fence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good points. But yeah, we have not have a I guess an actual name yet.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, special events. You can see what we kind of do. Food truck event was huge. We're actually going to tie that, not have it this year, but because we're going to tie it to the tie it with the concert in October. But we did the Goblin Hoblin, and thing we didn't put on here. I just saw this is we also hosted the Polar Bear Run, and we'll do that again next year as well. Touch a Truck event was last Friday. It was a big success again. Got to see a lot of little kiddos there. And then we do free pickleball courts. We won't do the courts this year since we're having the tournament at the park on the same day. And of course, the new playground. We're looking at things. We're going to kind of get together as a group, decide what we're going to still need out there. Some things that we'd like to do, of course, is benches, permanent shading, fencing, maybe trees down the road. But we'll get together as a group and make a plan for that moving forward. Right now, we did move some temporary benches out there today, and then we also put temporary trash cans out there. We're going to order some trash cans, kind of get that. But today, every time I went outside the rec center and looked down the way, there was cars there all day long. So there's people there. I mean, if the weather's going to allow them, they're going to be on it. So it's really a neat addition to the community.
Any discussion in the future about bathrooms out there?
Possibly, if we build a pavilion, you guys, everybody's familiar with the trailhead over by the middle school, that type of building that has restrooms on one end, storage in the middle, pavilion on the end. We'd like to have something similar to that out there. That would be on the south side of the playground. That would be, in that way, if people wanted to rent that then for birthday parties, stuff like that, they'd have that capability to do that. So yes, it's not out there yet, but we're kind of looking through that.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Last couple of things that we've done too, we restored the slide at the Aquatic Center. First full year of Civic Rec, which has been huge for scheduling. We don't have it down yet quite to a complete perfect science, but we're getting there. Chase and Devin and Hannah are doing a real good job, and Shauna on that. We actually have done Civic Rec to the golf course, and now everything comes through. They take payments and everything just like we do at the rec center, so we got that aligning with each other. And then clean up at Dunnigan, we did that, of course, last winter. We weren't able to get to it this past winter, but we do have some of that in our items to do down the road. Just about that. 25 projects real quick. We replacement the Greenwood Cemetery front gate sign, restoration of the tower. Additional, we are
Now,
taking credit card payments.
The restoration of the aquatic tower slide. I guess I've never ventured my way up there. Is that not operational now, or?
No, they did it about a couple months ago.
Okay, all right.
Yeah,
So
they just repainted it, come in.
yeah, I know they're doing. And was that the restoration? Because I know we were talking about painting.
Yeah, just painting it. Yep,
Okay.
stripping the
And
rust off.
kids
and
use it
things.
a lot.
Pardon?
And kids use it a lot.
Oh, every day. That's how they get to the slide. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And then another thing we added this year at the Aquatic Center, we're taking credit cards now, payments. And then our goal is to get that same process out to the ball fields. We're hoping our our sale increase will go up. We're going to track that too to see what last year's numbers were to this year's, but we implemented that this year as well. And then Rock the Rec will be in October.
Okay.
Event. Okay.
Questions and
Any
comments
questions?
from the board? Anyone?
I'll go ahead and start off. Going back to the numbers of participants, looks like we're kind of like we were asking earlier about the uptick. How do we get more people involved in that kind of sports or activities that we provide? Is there a way we're marketing, anything like that, or is it just, hey, they know
We
about
use
us?
a lot of our how we advertise is through Jill, through Facebook, and through Civic Rec. We used to be able to send stuff through the school and give them flyers, and then they distribute to all the kids. But that process stopped this past year, so we're not able to do that. But a lot of it's through just through social media. Our numbers are good, so we can always increase to get more kids involved.
Yeah.
Another thing I want to share, I should have shared this. How many of you guys have heard of Killing Foundation for Kids? Everybody in here? Okay. They have paid for kids' fees for sports. They paid for kids for swim lessons. But I just want to let them know that we appreciate them partnering with us to provide that type of platform for kids that can't perform or can't afford it to be able to participate in activities and sports.
Yeah, no, I totally appreciate you guys and even seeing all the uptick in youth sports. You know, baseball's going on right now, and you know that's just a whole bunch of new teams and new participants. And you know, I think we're even using the baseball fields behind the rec center now, which that haven't been utilized in a long time. So that's a very exciting thing. My next question is the Civic Rec. What is that? Your guys' software for
It's
like
a platform
yeah.
they use, yeah.
Is that going well? Is there some hiccups going on with that, or?
Not as many now as we used to have.
Sure.
Because part of it is they're figuring it out.
Yeah.
And they're getting more comfortable with it. But
Good.
this year was a lot better year than last year.
Awesome.
I think the main advantage of it, I guess, now is the coaches and Chase and Hannah and Devin can communicate better.
Awesome.
I think it's becoming a better tool for for parents to communicate, not only with us but with coaches as well. So, yeah, it's not a perfect thing, but it's coming around and it's a lot better than what we used to do for sure.
Thank you.
You bet.
Questions and comments? Go ahead, please.
Do you feel that there are any sports programs or other programs that are like holes in our programming that you would like to see us? I mean, it seems to me like there's plenty to keep everybody busy all year long, but I'm wondering if you're hearing from people that like this is a good complement of sports programs that we've got for kids, or are there ones where you're like, man, someday I would love to implement this additional program or this additional sport? Does that make sense what I'm asking?
I think for the youth side, we offer a lot of opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to see more offerings for adults.
Okay.
I like to see flag football. I like to see men's basketball. I'd like to see a pickleball league sometime. And I think once we have 2 sports coordinators, and I think they're young. We're coaching them. I think once they get some seasoning and some experience, then we can put more on their plate. But yeah, we want to expand and do as much as we can and offer as much as we can. I mean, another thing, the golf frisbee, that's another, people ask me about that. We have some, I think SBU has a course. I think there's a little bit of a course at Dunnigan.
Yeah, there's something out there at Dunnigan like that.
But that's something that we need to try to consider and try to find the right spot. That might be something we can maybe implement out at Kiefer Park, or we can even put it back on the back side of the golf course over there. So yeah, we want to keep adding when we can, just to give people a variety of opportunities.
Thank you.
Questions and comments? Thank you, Mr. Schrader.
Thank you.
Appreciate the job that you do. Okay, let's move on to the 2025 street repaving bid. Mr. Lee?
Okay, you have in your packet the bid summary sheet there from our submissions. We had 3 contractors submit a bid. They're listed there. They were all ultimately qualified and provided the documents that we needed. There is, you'll note, part of it is in the way that, you know, bids of this nature are submitted. You'll note that our recommendation is for APAC, who was the lowest overall cost, while you may see in the price per ton, their cost is slightly higher than Emery Sapp and Sons. But when you take into account the milling that we expect, as well as a mobilization fee that Emery Sapp and Sons has, APAC was the overall lowest bid for.
I'm showing my newness here. I do not understand milling per SY.
That's just per square yard.
Square yard. Yes. There you go. And then milling is what?
Milling is essentially a machine that grinds the existing surface so
just like milling.
Yep. It mills it down. I mean that is the description and the name all in one. But it's for the purpose of the new surface adjoining appropriately to an existing surface.
Yeah.
So along a curb line or adjoining another street, or areas like that. So we have a number of areas in town that require milling. We have quite a few that do not require milling. Streets that don't have a curb or something like that.
No, I'm just,
Okay. All right.
I was just gonna make a motion.
Questions and comments? Are we to have a motion for accept this, or
Yes, and you'll note that we left our full list that we had presented previously to the board and submission. We expect the costs to come in as they estimated. They based their cost estimate on that list, and that is right in line with. We had $320,000 budgeted out of streets with the intention to potentially take another $80,000 out of reserves, street reserves, for the purpose of this. So that brings us right in line with that 395, right about the 400,000. But
so are we being asked to accept the APAC bid?
Yes, that's the staff's recommendation. The board can have a conversation or do whatever they decide.
Questions and comments? Does that require a voice, a roll call vote?
It does not have to, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. All right. I will entertain a motion to accept the APAC vote for the street paving.
I would second.
Okay. In favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it. We have accepted the APAC bid for the street repairs or the paving. Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The employee manual policy updates. I take that is Mr. Relford. I beg your pardon?
Thank you.
You missed C.
Yes. Oh, haven't we though? We've been discussing. We've had many discussions over this, haven't we? I'm sorry. Thank you, everybody. Let's hear the latest report on the Parkview Street drainage.
Yes, so I want to just update the board because I know that this has been an issue that a number of board members are aware of and members of our community. East Parkview Street between North Market and North Albany has experienced and a number of times has experienced water backing up and covering the road for a pretty significant portion. And we've investigated that issue, have recently, twice now we have had to jetter and remove clogs from that. And then recently we cameraed that line also in order to try to ascertain what is the cause of this. And I think the best description is that ultimately I don't have the personal knowledge of the exact time that it was installed, what has been communicated to me from those who seem to have that knowledge historically is that sometime after the street was developed by a developer and constructed, it was discovered that there wasn't proper drainage designed within the street. And as you'll just note, that these are why we have the regulations that we have now. They didn't exist at that time, so that's not necessarily a knock on anybody's, doing something wrong, but that's what happened at that time. And the city, as I understand it, took on the role to try to alleviate that by installing a pipe in order to drain the street and discharge that. It doesn't appear, again, this really isn't an assessment on the past because I don't know every detail of every decision, and all the information that the folks had at the time. But it doesn't appear, as we can find, that there are existing easements present. And it does appear that there are some issues with the pipe that was installed, including some catches within the pipe and some inversion of the pipe where water doesn't run uphill. We all know that. And so it's having some difficulty draining consistently. I think this last storm, it did drain. The issue is that it easily clogs. We have entertained the idea of just putting a cone grate at the front and dealing with it on that. It doesn't appear that that's likely to solve the issue, though. And so in accordance with our standard operating procedure that we have recently brought to the board, it would be beholden on us probably to take the next steps to try to acquire easements there and replace that pipe. There is some difficulty with the total elevations of what can be put in. We would increase the size to the degree that we were able in order to maintain the flow line. But that is our most likely needed next steps. I estimate that cost could be anywhere between $10,000 to $20,000, though, because you have some fences that are in that location. You have property owners that we will have to work with easements, as well as some trees that may require removal. And most of those we would contract that removal out because they're right near structures, things like that. So it is a considerable cost. I'll note that that I would be able to bring more details to the board if they would like before we endeavor in that. Ultimately, easements and things like that, we'll have to bring some more details to you. In either case, we did budget $50,000 in the streets budget for stormwater improvements this year. We can do this within the budget items. It wasn't on the list of the desire. My understanding is that, and just talking with neighbors, talking with folks that have lived in that area, that this has been a concern in the past. It's just not risen, and even you flash back a couple years ago where we were getting pretty significant rain as well. It just wasn't one of the things that rose to a point of complaint or concern and things like that. And that's kind of how things go, and that's okay. So, but it is in front of us now, and water on the road is an issue that needs to be dealt with. So.
Does it come down to this, Mr. Lee? Like it or not, it is ours?
With all the information that I have at this point, that appears to be the case, that the city did. And this is why we created an operating procedure that we try to determine as best we can and then follow that procedure, and that's what we would do. So I mostly wanted to update you, one, because I know a number of board members have been aware of this, and the community that may be listening would want them to know that we are actively working on a way to resolve this issue, and two, to let you know that this is something we can proceed, budgeted, and take care of, but it will be a significant, it has the potential to be a significant cost. So,
do we have a timeline, you think, of how quick?
Well, we won't do the work until it's considerably drier than it is, because we'd have to do some work in drainage areas that are, that we would want much. So I would project that we would do it sometime in the August to September timeframe. And that is contingent on being able to acquire easements. And so that, somewhat of that is me speculating that property owners will see and agree with the need and
Well,
therefore
I mean, I'm assuming
engage
property
with us.
owners, because it floods in front of their
It
property.
floods their property and,
And just out of curiosity, we've hired a jetter twice to, to unclog it with the camera and all that. What does it cost us to do those things?
We've probably spent right around $500 on
Okay.
all of those, not each, but all of them combined. It depends. We try to get them out there as quick as possible, so we're willing to pay at that point an after-hours rate and things like that. So we've been able to work closely with someone to do
So,
that
I mean,
as quick as
eventually,
possible.
I mean, it's always going to be a problem if we don't fix it. So those numbers are probably going to go up.
Yeah,
and the frequency's going
I
to go
was
up,
hopeful
and-
that a cone strainer would be a significant improvement, but we can't. When we camered it, I just don't feel comfortable that that's going to solve the problem. So.
I mean, my opinion is, I like your ideas and the strategy with it, and I think from going over there and talking to the homeowners and all that, I'm sure they would be more than willing to work with you. And I think everybody that I've talked to agrees that probably a larger pipe is going to be the only solution, which I think that's something that we can get to. So I'm all for it.
Questions and comments? Is that all you have, Mr. Lee, on this matter?
Yes, sir. Ultimately, it's something we can handle within the budget. We may need, as I said, to come back to the board for other matters related to it, but we'll just address that at a future time. So.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Elford, are you up on the employee manual policy
sir.
updates?
Yes, Mr.
Go ahead,
Mayor.
please.
Yeah, we've made some modifications to our employees' manuals on a couple of topics. You'll see in the packet the changes are highlighted, so I can go through those real quickly, but some of them are just kind of minor, just kind of clarifying a few things. Payroll, you'll see the main point here is we're just clarifying how we pay folks for out-of-title pay. If they're a supervisor, we allow them a 5% extra bump. So we're just putting that in writing. The probably the most important one here is something we've talked about this in the past, our PTO or paid time off. Again, this wouldn't be effective this year because we didn't budget for it, but here's a recommendation that in the future for our employees that have a lot of PTO, and we have some seasoned employees who do have a lot of time, give them a chance to sell back at certain rates, more than the 20% that we used to in the past. So under this proposal, it'd be one time per year. If they have more than 200 hours, they could sell back 20 hours at 100%, 20 hours 50%, and unlimited at that 20% rate. But they must maintain that 200 hour level.
And this does not accumulate over years, but is it annual?
This would be an annual thing for our employees to participate in.
Yes. Okay. Is that all, sir?
Yeah, a couple more. The motor vehicle checks, that's something we're being required to do from our insurance provider. Essentially, we just need to run checks on our employees annually to see if they have any moving violations or anything like that because they're driving city vehicles.
Okay, all right.
And then the last one, real quickly, is we just kind of redefined and clarified our military leave and active duty and reserve duty and what our requirements are as an employee.
Do we have employees who are in the reserves?
We do. We have a few.
Okay.
So it just basically defines, how much we pay and what what our requirements are as an employer.
Okay. Mr. Wilson.
Yes. So maybe you answered my question, but on your vehicle policy, under B, employees who operate city vehicles must have less than 3 moving violations on their record for the last 3 years period of time. Is that from our insurance company, or if you have more than 3 moving violations, you can't drive
Operate a city vehicle? Yeah, that's our requirement.
Okay, so it's not an insurance, it's the
No.
in-house. Can you kind of go over why we are doing that?
Well, it is tied to insurance, right? So
Sure.
obviously, it's the more moving violations they have, the more liability we have. So it's just a way for us to monitor that and keep our risk down as an employer.
Is that all, sir? Oh,
I
Ms.
have
Price?
something. This would be my objection, the page before the policy changes. City administrator reserves the right to modify, amend, or discontinue any policy or program outlined within this manual without prior notification, depending upon the board-approved annual budget or otherwise. I would rather see policy changes brought to the board and agreed upon instead of, you won't always be city administrator. 10 years down the road, you're gone. We have someone who doesn't quite run the same way the board does. They can make changes willy-nilly. I don't like that idea.
Okay, we can take that out.
Okay, thank you. Questions and comments? Thank you, Mr. Rutherford. Thank you, Alderman Price.
Counselor, do we need a motion to approve those?
Yes.
Okay.
But it can be done, just doesn't have to be a roll call.
Okay, it does or no, it does not?
It does not.
Okay.
Can we
And
do it with that
being-
change taken out?
And that being said, I love the policy changes. I would like to make a motion that we accept the policy changes as outlined by Thomas Relford, with the exception that any future policy change is brought before the board for approval.
Mr. Relford, do you feel like this is handcuffing your duties?
No, because I notify the board before I do anything anyway.
So you would be comfortable if we basically struck that?
That's fine.
Okay, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with Alderman Price's suggestion, but I just want to be sure that there's not an overriding process that we would be disturbing
No.
if we struck that.
Most anything can wait 2 weeks before the next board meeting.
Okay, so how are we?
I made a motion.
Second.
I just need a second.
Okay, all right.
Second.
Okay, so the motion is to
Accept the policy changes as presented by our city administrator, with the caveat that we change when and how it can be modified. It needs to be brought before the board to be approved.
Okay, Counselor, is that a clear enough motion?
Yes, it is. It is for me, at least, as long as our clerk is good on it.
Okay. Okay, are we set to move ahead? Okay, Counselor, are we set to move ahead then?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Got a second.
So we are
You just need to vote.
had the motion.
Got a second?
Okay, and voice vote. All
Yeah.
those.
It can be at your option, Mr. Mayor.
Well, let's go ahead and make a voice vote. Those in favor, say aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. We have accepted the motion to accept the report from our city administrator striking the early provisions. Okay. All right. Mr. Lee, I think you are up again. For the sidewalk improvements downtown.
Yes. So I think many on the board and maybe even those that are newer may be familiar with the fact that in the past the city has engaged with property owners on the square, or what is generally referred to as the square. Part of my conversation tonight, I'd like to offer a little clarity there, or see if the board would like to offer a little bit of clarity. But essentially, in the past, there has been times when the city has performed the work of replacing sidewalks with the property owner incurring the cost of the materials, and then the city coming and doing that work. So my question tonight is a couple fold, and the first part is, does the board want to continue to engage in that type of agreement or work with the property owners? If they do, and in preparation for if you did, Dawn did draft a agreement for services, which I requested. If we are to do that work, I would like it to be contracted with an agreement for services so that we have some hold harmless agreements there. All of our guys would certainly work in a good workman like manner, but things can happen. A rock can chip a piece of glass or something like that. We want to make sure that if we're coming there in order to try to assist, we don't become more liable for things like that. So I guess really the first question is this something that the board desires to continue to do? And I say that because I know, and board members would have to speak to it, but I know this has been a topic of discussion with this board in the past, and my understanding is that has been a desire of the board. If it's not, you can tell me that and we can scrap the agreement. That's no big deal. To me, it will be and has been a request of property owners along that area. So, the public's generally aware. I don't know that everybody is. I have no idea.
So a question I have on that. Have you talked to a majority of the property owners on the square, and is this something they would be willing to do? Because, my concern is, of course, the county just redid their sidewalks. They're all nice and neat around the center of the square.
Yeah.
But if there's 4 businesses on one side of the square and 2 of them are like, oh yeah, that's a great idea, and we say, okay, we're going to do it, and we've redone and then you've got a awful sidewalk here and an awful sidewalk here, and the nice, is there a way that you can kind of, is there...
This board at any time, our ordinance is already set out that a sidewalk can be condemned and ordered to be replaced at the property owner's cost. So this certainly requires people's cooperation. I mean, this is voluntary. This is them, more often than not, them approaching us and saying, we would like to replace our sidewalks. Will you assist in this process? Or us identifying an issue and saying, hey, we've heard a report of an issue in your area. We do have this program, and would you like to engage in that? But it would be totally voluntary. I mean, people would have to want to sign this agreement. They would have to, want to pay for the materials and things, and they'd have to want to work with our schedule. I'm not suggesting that this will become the number one priority of the streets department. I think we can schedule for it and plan for it and do it, in a efficient manner. But we do have, projects that go on there, and it's been mixed. Those that remember the Miles for Smiles remodel there, part of that block section was done by the city. Another part was done by the contractor because they were ready to charge ahead with the project they had in front of them. So.
Okay.
I mean, I'm all for it. Like, I love the idea of that, working with the business owners, especially if it helps get the sidewalks redone. I mean, whatever we can do to do that, I'm all for.
I would concur.
So where does this leave us as far as a decision on our part? Go ahead, please. I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to say I agree with Alderman Ross, because these are uniquely high traffic, foot traffic areas where the city has, I think, a special interest in maintaining high quality sidewalks, avoiding unsightly or uneven sidewalks, and that can be, because they're so much wider, it can also be a more significant financial investment for the property owner. So I think there's a lot of really good reasons for us to partner with those property owners to have an improved downtown. It certainly helps, I think, the economic health of our community to have a vibrant downtown that's walkable and accessible for people. So
Totally agree.
I continue to think that that's a good investment of city resources, particularly if we're not having to foot the entire bill, but being able to do that in partnership with the property owners.
Does the board need to make that declaration now?
Well, ultimately, each agreement will have to come to the board for approval. What I'm trying to understand is it the intent of the board for me as the Public Works Director to engage in these conversations with the property owners and seek out, these agreements and then bring them to the board for approval?
Then we can make an informal agreement, and when you present the particulars, we can make a formal declaration.
Sure. Yeah. Each individual owner would be, have to sign this agreement, and then the board would approve it. Correct, Don? And, yeah, that is correct. And if I could add before that is just a little clarity, whether you just know of knowledge or we could pull a map up. I think but as far as what is generally referred to as the square, I'd like a little bit of clarity. I think there needs to be, whether we bracket this out, working centrally and move out. We, of course, can't tackle every sidewalk in the next 6 months, so I'm not suggesting that'd be possible. So I'd just like a little bit of clarity if we could say Missouri. So my recommendation would be start with the blocks adjoining the square, working from Missouri on the west side to Market on the east side, and then Jefferson on the south and Chestnut on the north.
So the question I have on that is the central business district. I think that's outlined in the ordinance. Is that
it's significantly larger than what I just described.
Okay.
I think it would be great to envision that as the future for that. It's just, it's significantly larger. I also would want to be a little cautious because you can, you can zone something C3 that may not be adjacent to that area directly. So if we defined it just as the C3 central business.
Those names again, those street names.
Yes, so I was suggesting that we consider Missouri would be the west boundary, and then you'd consider both sides of Missouri, and then same thing, Market on the east, and you'd consider both sides of Market, and then Jefferson on the south, and Chestnut on the north. At
The
this
nine,
time.
9 square blocks.
Yes.
3 by 3. Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes.
So what kind of a declaration do we need to be making tonight? I mean, just kind of a wink and a nod, or do we need to make a formal?
For my opinion would be, Mr. Mayor, there's nothing formal needed. I mean,
Okay.
as each one of these comes before us, we'll need to pass them
at that point.
individually.
Okay, all right, we'll just leave it at that then.
I just don't want to engage with the property owner, give them the sense that it's the intent of the board to do this, and everybody on the board say that was never our intent. So I'm gathering that that is the intent of the board, and I would engage with them in good faith. So
I had to
Go ahead, please.
just a quick question. On a couple sides of the squares, there may be some engineering services required because I know on my side there's 2 basically trap doors in front of other doors that go down staircases that are going to need some shoring up. On the west side, there's some light wells that actually go down to the 2nd floor that are kind of unique. That property owner says she would like to keep them if at all possible. Does that engineering element fall on the property owner, or is that how does that factor in?
yeah, we'd probably just have to look at those case by case. If there's something that we can do for a low cost, I think certainly that would be reasonable. But if it's something that is going to require a more extensive design, it'd probably be reasonable that we at the minimum share that cost. But I think we'd have to deal with that in each circumstance. There may be some times where we have to consult a design for ADA compliance. There will be times where we have to have ramps and a divided ramp and things like that.
Okay.
But
Is that something that you can develop before you approach property owner, or is that something that when in the process does that factor in?
My intent would be just to engage with the property owner and walk their section and identify their concerns, and then we'd have the agreement to cover that. So
Sure. I just didn't
I'm
want to.
certainly open to recommendations. I just assume that it will probably be the best route as we just engage one.
No, and that's fair. I just wanted everybody to be on the same page when, it may not just be as simple as take out a little bit of old sidewalk and pour in new. It may be a little more involved in
it
some of the
certainly
areas.
could be.
Okay.
So,
Some of that may depend on whether the value of those engineering services primarily accrue to the property owner as opposed to accruing to the city,
right.
saying, hey, we want walkable sidewalks, we're willing to invest to ensure walkable sidewalks. Other things that are maybe more connected to the building than the sidewalks
And there may be things that we could speculate that a simple guardrail would be efficient, but the property owner would rather some other mechanism. Then I would that cost might need to be borne by them, and I think with some reasonable discussion we can kind of figure.
So, are you comfortable with a wink and a nod tonight? And
if that's the intent of the board, yes, I'll go in good faith and have those conversations. And okay.
All right, we'll just let you go ahead with that, and then we'll contradict everything that we've done tonight later on.
You'll have a chance to.
We'll when the property owners come, said Mr. Lee is just on his own. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. I'm sorry. Is that your presentation for the sidewalks? Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. I'm done.
Now, I think you are also up, are you not, for
I
the
think so.
Community Development Block Grant?
Yep. I
Okay.
think next couple. I'll
Okay.
keep going here.
Okay,
So,
very good.
Community Development Block Grant. So this is a grant that actually our previous economic development coordinator or president of Economic Development Partnership, Gail Noggle, began a process of trying to get a survey that relates to what's called the low to moderate income index, and we our community development department took that over, trying to get that completed. It has taken a number of years, actually, to get that completed. We recently did it. Completing that survey and meeting a certain threshold of what is called low to moderate income within the community at large has opened us up to the possibility of being able to apply for community development block grants. Okay, that's the history of why we would discuss it at all. Part of the history of that matters is it's a little bit rushed right now if we want to apply this year. You probably know my take already is if there's some funds out there to try to go after, it's worth your best shot. But I want to recognize that we are a little time crunched. It's the reason that you don't have a more complete presentation on these items. This is something that July 28th is the deadline, and for us to get these things going, July 28th is the click the button to turn it in. There are other deadlines before that. So what we as a staff, as we discussed within our leadership team and under Thomas's guidance, we discussed various projects, and the overall grant is available for up to $500,000. Additional costs for design can be added onto that. However, if we bear those design costs beforehand, and we would have to bear some design costs beforehand, those costs are obviously only added to the grant if we are given the grant. They're not reimbursed to us just for applying. So if we spend $20,000 in design costs, that grant fund could go from $500 to $520, but if we don't receive it, then we're out that $20,000. We, of course, have the product that we paid for, which would be that design. I mentioned already the due date there. The match on these funds, we are recommending from the staff that we submit with a 15 to 20% match because of what we understand about the scoring process. However, the city can submit with a $0 match. It fluctuates on this grant. Not all of them have a fixed match. This is one of those. I mentioned there the additional considerations of the design costs. So the three projects that in our discussions come to the forefront, and what we're asking from the board tonight is to tell us what project you would like us to pursue on this cycle. It may be that there are other projects that would be better on a future cycle when we have more time to prepare. These are the ones we feel we would have an opportunity to pursue on this cycle. So the first one would be the new construction of an animal pound. The board is, I'm sure, aware of the details that I listed here. I won't read it verbatim, but essentially when the city sold the utility to Liberty Utilities, included was the land that the pound resides on. We have, as of yet, not been asked to cease our services in that place, but that discussion has been a discussion that has been frequent and has been going on since the board contemplated that sale and all of that, and the citizens voted and all of that ultimately transpired. So we will have to move from that location at some point, and if we applied for that grant, our intent would be on that would be to construct both the road that would lead to the pound, and this would be located future location. The intended future location is behind Public Works, which is on West Broadway, and there we've worked with some initial discussions with the property owner to have a street that would be a shared street ultimately in construction, but would lead to the city pound behind the existing Public Works. So that is the first project. Of course, some of the reasons that you can point to for that is what I've described already about the existence of the current pound being on property that is not owned by the city, and that cost being something that we would need to incur in the future. The second consideration or recommendation would be new construction of Fire Station 1, and that would be in particular the 3-bay garage. This project, it has been part of the city plan for a number of years, the comprehensive plan, and construction of the 3-bay. The city did purchase in the past a property here on Springfield Avenue next to existing Fire Station 1. As you're aware, Fire Station 1, as it stands now, is not adequate to house our firefighters as well as the apparatus that we have. That is why they are housed in the PSC, and the city constructed those bays on that area. We have projected those costs for the initial bays out there to be at this grant level, and that would be the construction of those bays. And then the intent would be to step into a second phase, which would be to gut and remodel the existing CMU Block Station 1 as the area for the crews. So it would be a really nice improvement on their area, and offices. Chief Watkins and others would have offices in that location, and then the upper level, there would be 2 levels, and the upper level would be a space for the firefighters to reside when they're on shift, that living quarters.
And this would take them out of the facility up here.
Yes, so the added benefit, of course, is that they would move from that PSC location. They would be still in a location that meets the fire department's needs for coverage, and would also then provide additional space for our police department in the PSC. So that's...
Any idea what phase 2 would cost?
Phase 2?
Yeah, you said the phase 1 of the,
sure.
This would just be the bays.
I'd project it's around, we've done some initial cost estimates, probably around $250,000
Okay, so if we picked this one and got the grant, we would still need to come up with $250,000 before we could actually relocate the fire department staff.
Correct,
to the new
and we'd,
Okay.
you know, my recommendation would be to stage that in the, you know, as a capital improvement in that next year. Of course, it wouldn't make a lot of sense to not do phase 2 very subsequent to phase 1. But it is, I will note on that, both on that and the pound, it is significant to note that there are not a lot of grant funds available for those types of projects. So CDBG opens up the opportunities for projects that other grant funds don't exist. I can find, now I'm not going to say we're going to get them all the time, but I can find pretty much, you know, every year I'm going to find grant opportunities for trails, for things related to recreation, for things, but it is important to note that some things you're just not going to see funds available for those types of projects. Not to suggest they need to be done in that manner, it's just a matter of where funds become available. But to the note of something that is also an identified need is the third recommendation for your consideration is the new construction of a pavilion. I think, Mary, you asked about that just earlier. This would be located next to the new playground there at the Recreation Center, and that pavilion would serve that area with bathrooms and could also include part of the park's master plan of a driving range, which the cost of that is pretty marginal. You're talking largely fencing and some netting, things like that, and a general community area in that location. That's something, again, that has been identified in the Parks and Rec long-term plan. It aligns well with our comprehensive plan. It would, you know, help a need that's will be even more in front of us, given that we've now built a playground in that location. So that, of course, is something that would be of benefit to the city. I will tell you, I mean, I'm kind of presenting this, and I'm neutral in the sense that all of our staff are working together. We're a team. We know that all of these projects are good projects for the city. All of them are ones that I feel could qualify for the CDBG. I will tell you, some of our, I don't know how, good our chances will be until we get further into it, as far as speculating on that. A lot of cities only apply for this if they have zero funds for anything, and then they often apply for infrastructure improvements. Well, I don't think our best use of funds is to do street overlays with a CDBG grant. I don't think actually we'd have a good opportunity for getting that either. I think something that serves the community more, like these projects, we have a better opportunity. I don't want to pitch you that means you pick the project and it's going to happen. I don't want to suggest that. We have a long road to head down in order to do this, but it starts with deciding which one you want to prioritize.
So a couple questions. So fire department moving, like redoing Station 1, the 500,000 would build the bay, and then we would have to kick in additional $250,000 on phase 2 and whatever other phase. So the $500,000 grant would potentially cost us a minimum of a quarter.
$350. Because
Yeah.
if we
Yeah.
did a 20% match, it'd
Yeah.
be $350. Would be
Yeah, if you kept it at the 20% and you could reduce that, but yes, certainly you'd need to plan for that additional cost, in my opinion. Now you wouldn't have to do it in the same year or same budget year, that kind of thing. I think the reason that project rises as one of the potential recommendations is the consideration of doing that project with no grant funding. You're looking at maybe a $750,000 to $800,000 project.
The question I have with the pound, like, I'm not, a contractor. A $500,000 pound seems like a pretty nice pound.
So yeah, let me clarify. That includes a part of construction of the road that would lead to the pound. Yes, it would probably be. Again, this is something we're early in this. We would identify the exact cost of that. I would project it would be probably closer to $250,000, and the other $250,000 would be
for the road
related to the road, which is a considerable, improvement and construction costs. And so yeah, there's a significant part there.
Alderman Price.
Do we own the property behind the utility building?
Public Works,
Yeah.
where we would locate. Yes.
So we do own enough land there to build it?
Yes, we do currently. We've engaged with that property owner. They may desire to either donate or sell some additional, but we have enough already to construct it if we chose to there. Yeah.
Alderman, go ahead, please.
I understand the difficulty.
Neil.
Like these are all obviously very worthwhile projects and all things that we hope to see all of them happening in the not too distant future. We've been talking about the pound for a long time. I don't know at what point we're going to need to the need will become more urgent as our access to that property may be discontinued at some point. As we already found out with the discussions around the recycling center this last year, and had to work to relocate that with the county and with COM. So as much as I would like to see these other things done, the opportunity to get our pound issue addressed is probably to me the most tempting, knowing that one's just at any time could become a very pressing matter, and we might be looking at having to make some very expensive choices. And so just based on what I'm hearing tonight, that would be my perspective.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Mr. Ross. Go
So
ahead.
do these grants come up every?
Yeah, the competitive cycle generally opens annually.
So it's one of those, like, we could technically get a grant for this one, and then a year and a half down the road get again, if all the stars align. I'm putting
I love the confidence,
That's right.
but yeah,
have all the faith in the world in you, Kyle,
your level of likelihood, it does decrease somewhat. Some of them score you differently if you've already received them and things like that. But yes, we're going to try this year. We try next year. We're not going to stop.
That's kind of my thought is we need to do all three of these projects eventually. I don't think there's any argument there, but one of the three is kind of out of our control when we may have to do it. We're kind of on borrowed time where they could literally say, hey, you guys have 6 months and you, whereas we all know I would love to, separate the police and fire and have the fire with their own place and the police with their, and I think that's something we need to budget in the future and potentially, and same thing with the parks. We know that there's needs for the new park that we just opened on Friday, but I feel like there's one of these that is out of our control. And if we can get money to help with that one, that's kind of the one that I would be on.
Can we make this on the fly like this? I mean, this
we need to.
This is pretty consequential decision making.
It is, and that's why I started by saying I would normally desire to come. I hope I've shown in the past. I would normally desire to come with more preparation for your consideration. Unfortunately, the timing of this, we literally became qualified for this days before it opened, and then we were able to look into the requirements of it. And in fact, I'd like to caveat all of this by saying, if the staff, if we're trying to engage with the people who oversee this, if we engage with them in such a way that we feel like we desperately need to pivot to a different type of a project, I just asked for the board to show us that kind of flexibility. We'll come back and have that conversation, but that could occur. It could end up not one of these projects, and we find that none of these are going to be well suited for this year, and something. But I think starting, we do just need a direction. This is something that.
Are we developing a consensus as we speak?
I like the pound.
I like the pound.
How, Counselor? What kind of a recommendation or motion should we? Are we prepared? Are we prepared to make a motion?
Do we need to make a motion just to give staff permission to apply for a grant?
I just need direction, I think. Don, you correct me. We will ultimately have a resolution and have other items that relate to
I'll defer to Kyle on this. Whatever he needs.
Do you want us to prioritize it?
I mean, you can do that if you'd like, but if you just give me the first, I think really it's either going to, I'll tell you what I think is going to happen. It's either going to be the pound, if you're saying that's number one, or we're going to potentially have to pivot to some sort of infrastructure project that we already have engineering for. And that's probably the only two options that exist. I want to shoot for one of these, and if pound is what you want, then that's where.
So, how should we word the motion properly?
Do we need a motion?
Do we need a motion?
I just need direction. You'll have an opportunity to pass a resolution that will directly relate to that, and then that would be your
a wink and a nod.
Lots of wink and nods.
Yeah.
I think I am in understanding that the pound is the desired approach. Okay.
Mr. Wilson.
So we've talked about the comprehensive plan that was in 2020 multiple times tonight. When is the next comprehensive plan coming out?
Well, they're normally a 20-year plan,
Okay.
but the city can endeavor at any time to either modify or.
Sure.
Alderman Neal had the joy of being heavily involved in that as well. So
You made it 20 years, though.
yeah, that's a 20. We're required. We need to have one, and it's 20-year. So
Sure.
yeah.
Thank you.
Comments and questions? Well, you got your wink and you got your
Okay.
nod.
Thank you.
Okay.
We'll keep you updated.
Mr. Lee.
Okay, I can be much briefer on this, and I did not have a chance. I apologize. Didn't have a chance to speak to any of you beforehand and give you a heads up because Todd and I were at a SIPED meeting right before this meeting. But we have the opportunity. We were fortunate enough to be selected. We applied for and were selected to receive. It's called a walk audit, a workshop and walk audit that deals with considerations of sidewalk. So there's a professional group that is a nonprofit down in the Bentonville, Arkansas area, and they conduct these things for various cities. But the cost is substantial. It's about $20,000. We did not desire to expend that cost, but we were happy to apply for a free workshop and walk audit, and we received that, and so we were excited to do that. Took a little bit of interview there and some time, but in part of that, so it's primarily for the staff. It's to help lead the staff in how to approach grants and funding and things like that. But they also ask for buy-in generally from, we'll have some representation from our SIPED committee, and then we are asking for you know, 1 to maximum 3 board members that would be interested in participating in that. So the details are, it is June, sorry, I need to flip my page so I don't tell you the wrong date. It is June 18th, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. June 18th, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. It'll be here at City Hall, and you need to be prepared. You don't have to be at the whole thing, but if you are, you'll need to be prepared to be here for that entire time. Lunch will be part of that, and then we will walk roughly 1.5 to 2 miles as part of the walk audit. So you don't, I want to be clear, you aren't required. It's not if you show up, you have to do the walk portion. But, you know, obviously we don't want to, I think, have no one do the walk portion with them. Our staff will do the walk portion for sure.
Are there 3 volunteers?
That was June 18th.
Yes.
At what time?
11 a.m. to 3 p.m.
At noon, we have the CMH tour. That same day.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we didn't get to select all of that, but
Who wants the CMH tour and who wants to go for a 2-mile walk?
and if somebody, to be clear, if
Golf cart, yeah.
if board members have another obligation and they want to be, you know, from 11 to 12, and then I don't know how long your CMH tour is, but if you're able to come back and return.
Like, I think when I talked to them, they were thinking it wasn't going to be more than an hour. Like
Okay.
it's during the lunch hour.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think it was
So do we have 3 volunteers?
Can we get a golf cart?
Okay, we have 2.
I'll do it.
Yeah, I'll do it.
We got like 5.
I already
can all do it.
RSVP'd CMH.
I did too.
Like,
Go to
man,
CMH.
I'm sure we can.
Do we have more than 3?
Okay,
No,
wait.
because
Okay,
we have
everybody,
to
hang
post
on here.
That's true. That's
I'll
true.
stay out.
Hang on here. Let's Alderman Neal.
I will. If somebody else wants the spot, it's not like I can walk my 2 miles another time that day. It's fine. But,
You can do this and run.
yeah.
As someone who utilizes the sidewalks
Yeah.
regularly, I feel
Yeah.
that this would be a good spot.
2 and a third one.
I'll do it.
Okay,
Okay.
Mr. Ballard, we've got our 3.
If you need additional information, please let me know. Otherwise, 11 a.m. on June 18th.
And did you say that there might be a possibility of being able to duck out for the tour, or we would need to be deciding?
Yes, I
whether
mean,
to-
it's, you know, again, it's primarily for the staff and, you know, our leadership in that. But yeah, so if somebody needs to come and go, it's not gonna interrupt the whole process by any
Okay.
means.
Okay, surely, Mr. Lee, you have more to offer.
The next item I do, unless Alderman Neal wants to speak to that
I
from
can
P&Z.
if you want to break
but
and
you'll
rest
just-
your
yeah, you
vocal
go
cords.
ahead.
That's fine.
Okay,
So-
Alderman Neal.
Yeah, so we have some zoning text changes recommended by the board, or the Planning and Zoning Commission. They're pretty non-controversial. One is just a set of height regulations. It's not changing the height, it's just changing the language to say instead of no building, it's building or structure. So if somebody's coming and they want to put something else on the property, the thought was whatever we want that building max to be for a particular zone, that should be for any structure in that zone. So it's not changing the number, just including the word or structure with building in each of the different sections. So you just see that's why over and over height regulations, all the way through. That's the height regulations. Then also we had previously had a list of the streets classification in our ordinances, and that means every time there's a new street that's added, we would have to amend the ordinances to have that placed. This change says we will have it on file, you can come and see it, but we can update that without having to change our ordinances every time a new street is added.
And this is all within 2025, 29?
Yes, so you see there's the section, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 and 8 are all the height changes.
Yes.
9 is posting the city street classifications at City Hall, and then 10 is allowing a buyout if someone's developing an area. We require sidewalks be installed, but if you're developing an area and there's no sidewalks for 300 feet that way, and there's no sidewalks for 300 feet that way, that you can buy out that, not put the sidewalks in, and just kick that money into the city's basically sidewalk budget, and the city can use that money to build sidewalks that are more likely to be used right away. So it would only be available for those people who are in this just island, that they could kick in money to cover sidewalk infrastructure development elsewhere, rather than building that little island of sidewalk. Kyle, would you add anything to that or clarify that further?
I think
That's that first batch. There's another batch of changes as well, but that's the first batch of changes.
Questions and comments?
And with these, they can still come and address and say, hey, we need to modify this or that, and come before the board for those requirements, or are they like, no, this is exactly what it has to be?
For which ones?
Any of them.
I mean, so for a lot of things, you can request a variance from the Board of Adjustment. It's not. I don't think that's available for every situation necessarily. Sure. Many situations, they can come before the Board of Adjustment, which is a separate entity, and explain why you think that you should be given, an exception to the rule. Sure. So that would still be, and the sidewalk buyout would be optional. If you would rather go ahead and install your little island of sidewalk, you can. Sure. You can do that. But it's just something that rather than forcing that installation when it might be 10 years before that sidewalk is connected to the rest of the network, that money could be put into developing sidewalks that's the better arterial use.
Questions or comments? Then we should entertain a motion for the first reading.
First reading.
Okay. Counselor.
This is Bill number 2025-29, ordinance number 4051, an ordinance amending multiple sections within Chapter 410 of the Bolivar Municipal Code regarding height restrictions, classification of specific city streets, and supplementary district regulations.
Second reading.
Okay. We will have Madam Clerk, please call. No.
You gotta read it again.
Oh, it hasn't been second read.
Yes,
Counselor.
sir. Yes, sir. This is Bill number 2025-29, ordinance number 4051, an ordinance amending multiple sections within Chapter 410 of the Bolivar Municipal Code regarding height restrictions, classification of specific city streets, and supplementary district regulations.
Okay, so we already had questions and comments. We will, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Sagasser.
Aye.
Raines.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
7 ayes, and so we have adopted Bill number 2025-29.
Just two.
I entertain a motion for the first reading of 2025-30.
First reading.
Second.
Counselor.
This is Bill number 2025-30, ordinance number 4052, an ordinance amending certain subsections of Section 415.060 of the Bolivar Municipal Code relating to final plats and sidewalks.
Questions and comments? Explanations?
I can go ahead and explain that one as well.
Please do.
And Kyle, you have to remind me what the differences was with what the current state of the code is with regard to the cul-de-sacs. But the section B there, 6B, rather than having sidewalk width be dependent on the zoning of the property, where you might have a commercial property and then a residential property. And so technically, if you do the sidewalks, one might be wider and then narrower. And as fun as that would be to walk down, Kyle pointed out to us, like, it makes more sense to base sidewalk width on the kind of street you're on. So if you're on an arterial street, you need an arterial width, which is the 8 feet or whatever, the whole way down, whether it happens to be a house or a commercial building or whatever. You want 8-foot sidewalks the whole way down that street. If you're in a local collector street, even if you happen to have a business that's on that, or not a collector, a local street, a business that happens to be there on that local street, you don't need an 8-foot sidewalk in front of that one business. You can just have a regular residential 4-foot one. So this would just be changing and saying the sidewalk width requirements go with the category of the street.
Good.
That's that part. And then the next part is just taking that same buyout option and adding that into the final plat section. What was the current state with what's different about the cul-de-sacs? Was it just making the fact that they didn't have to go all the way around, they just did one half of it before?
It wasn't. It just was not clear in
Okay.
in the reading, and many developers interpret that as only half of the cul-de-sac, and
So
we
now you
thought
have to
that
do
was
the
not
whole cul-de-sac if
reasonable.
this is approved. Gotcha. Thank you, Kyle.
Questions and comments? I think entertain a motion for the
Second reading.
second reading.
Second.
Second.
Counselor?
This is bill number 2025-30, ordinance number 4052, an ordinance amending certain subsections of section 415.060 of the Bolivar Municipal Code relating to final plats and sidewalks.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ballard.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Raines.
Aye.
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 Wilson.
Aye.
Aye.
By a vote of 7 ayes, we have adopted bill number 2025-30. I entertain a motion for the first reading of bill number 2025-31. Is that correct?
Second.
Counselor?
This is bill number 2025-31, ordinance number 4053, an ordinance amending the Bolivar Municipal Code by amending section 115.060 to provide for option for aldermen to elect to receive membership at recreational center and pool as part of compensation.
Questions or comments? Some of you, some of us could use that, and some not. My understanding is that this would take effect only as each alderman were elected. That,
Correct.
That's right.
For some of us, or some, I say us, the aldermen, it would be in a year, and some this benefit would accrue in 2 years, assuming re-election.
And also, it is, and you can correct me if I have this wrong, Thomas, this is currently a benefit for all other city employees.
That is
other
correct.
than the elected officials. So this would not be giving a benefit
No.
to the aldermen that other city employees do not enjoy. Currently, every city employee who's not elected receives this benefit.
Okay.
That's a correct statement.
Question.
Alderman Price.
Does this include mayor? Because it's only says alderman.
No, right now
It would include the mayor.
it would not.
We would have to.
Mayor in it.
I've already paid up, so it doesn't matter.
We would adjust that, but it would include all elected officials.
Can I make a
The-
comment, Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Wilson.
My thought is, our families, we're away from our families, doing this work, taking phone calls. I think this would, be something for our families, if I'm correct.
It's not.
No.
It's not just us.
No.
Individually.
Okay. That's why I wanted to ask.
Now, the pool membership, correct me if I'm wrong, is for your immediate family. The pool membership is.
Oh, it is a family.
But
pool
not for the
membership.
rec center.
Okay.
That's just for.
No. Right now, all these benefits are just for the individual alderman.
That's why I
And
wanted
if
to
we
ask.
need to change it, we can, but that's not what it says right now.
I'm just explaining what it is for current staff right now.
Okay, gotcha.
Do we want to
Do we have a
add that?
I would say I would say for the pool, I would say definitely make that the elected official and immediate family members.
Can we make that a motion, or
I think
No.
having match staff makes. I mean,
This
how
per-
does
Yeah.
consistent
this
with-
And
particular-
that's my fault for not doing
This-
better with the ordinance.
I mean, this particular code section is just alderman salaries. We would have to come back to do the mayor's salary
Sure.
section at a
Okay.
different time.
If we wanted to have this match the current, what they do for all the other employees, would we need to come back with a separate ordinance a different time, or can we be making changes to this tonight?
I would just prefer to come back with another one.
I mean, since it wouldn't be effective for
Mhm.
anyone until April at the
Right.
earliest.
Yeah,
it's
there's
not
no
like any
reason to
benefit
pass this and pass
yeah.
another one.
So
Do we-
I'm sorry.
Mr. Ross, go ahead.
So a question I have is how it's worded. It's to provide for option for aldermen to elect to receive. So it's an option, like we wouldn't have to.
Correct.
I mean,
It's correct.
okay.
Do you think
Not gonna make you go to the rec center.
I appreciate
rewriting
that. I was
this?
worried.
Do you think rewriting this would be appropriate, or
From what I'm hearing, probably, yeah.
let's hold off on it?
Well, what exactly would you like to see in the ordinance?
Someone comment.
I think kind of like what Alderman Alexis Neal said. Sorry, of mimic what the staff has.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I mean,
Clarify.
Second ordinance dealing with the mayor getting the
and
same
the mayor,
part.
yes.
Yeah.
But clarify that the pool is for families, just as you had
If that's what the staff, that's what the
Right.
policy sees for
Right.
staff. Yeah, I do not think it would be it makes sense to have more than them, but it would make sense for citizens. Sorry, go ahead.
Question, does this also apply, do part-time staff also receive this same benefit? Or is this just full-time staff?
Question. Mainly just full-time.
Okay, that's something
Oh,
that,
that is,
yes, that,
it is paid with money change.
yes.
We let part-time that work at the rec center, they come in and have some benefits there, but most of them don't utilize the pool like they do the rec center.
So have we had a consensus about it? We are rewriting this, I take it,
Yes,
and not
we are.
passing this.
Can we
Mr. Relaford, have we made clear our intentions?
We'll get it there.
Yeah, Dawn and I will get together.
I do not feel good about that feeling, if our part-time staff aren't getting the same benefits.
Is
I
there-
mean, I would love a pool membership. Don't get me wrong. I buy one every year, but if this is a part-time job and other part-time people who are part-time for the city don't get this benefit, it does not make sense for me to get it just because I do a different kind of work for the
Totally agree.
Agreed.
Is there a reason why our part-time staff doesn't get the benefit as well?
They do at the rec center.
Okay.
I'll check with Shauna. I just don't know how many of them benefit from the aquatic side of it.
But
And
if they wanted to, like that's my thought is
Is
if,
it available?
is it available?
Yeah.
Can we make it available to them?
Yeah, we could align it with the rec side very easy.
What about part-time staff that are not working on the rec side?
Yeah, we could align it where they could get that same benefit on the aquatic side as well.
I think the majority of us would feel.
So I think the question. So like right now, the rec part-time employees kind of come in and use the rec, and you're saying a lot. Do we have part-time employees for the city who don't work at the rec center, who maybe work
golf course, the
golf course, fire department, somewhere around there? Do they have?
Shauna would have those exact numbers, but from what I see, very few take advantage of the pool, like they do the rec side.
Okay.
Right, but I guess my question would be, what is the official policy with regard to part-time employees citywide as far as what?
I would have to work with Carol and
Yeah, we'd have
research
to
that.
Because
Just
I
see
would
what
like-
how that is
I would not want to.
But
I
we-
would not want to receive any more than what other part-time employees receive.
I would say
We can take a look at
Yeah,
that.
kind of look at that, then come back to us.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yep, there's no rush.
10 months, yep.
Not a big rush.
Procedurally, Mr. Mayor, probably want to entertain a second reading, and if nobody makes that motion, this will die, and we can come back next time.
Okay. I entertain a motion for the second reading of Bill number 2025-31. Is it 31? Yes. I entertain a motion for the second reading of Bill number 2025-31. Seeing none, then this motion will not pass. I'm entertaining a motion for the first reading of Bill number 2025-32.
First reading.
Second.
Counselor?
This is Bill number 2025-32, ordinance number 4054, an ordinance authorizing and ratifying an agreement with Celebrite for updates to software and services for the police department.
Who knows enough to comment?
We got somebody in the back.
Lieutenant Barron.
Lieutenant Behrens, please step forward. Thank you.
Yeah, Cellbrite is a forensic tool that we use in the police department to help extract data from phones, whether they're victims' phones, so like child sex crime victims, where they've had text conversations back and forth, or suspect phones, so whether that be people suspected of narcotics offenses to theft to child sex crimes again. Since so much of everything is kept digitally, it's kind of an essential tool for us. And what we're bringing to you is the next iteration. What we currently have will sunset next year, and we'll be having this discussion anyways. What we did is we were able to get in on the front side of it, which actually gave us a reduced cost and keeps our service going without interruption.
Questions and comments?
Thank you for saving
Same.
us money.
First reading.
Second.
This, oh, was that a,
Miss,
did you change it to be a motion for a second reading?
Oh, was it
I think that was
second reading? Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
Counselor.
So riveting the first time.
This is bill number 2025-32, ordinance number 4054, an ordinance authorizing and ratifying an agreement with Cellbrite for updates to software and services for the police department.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Price.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Ross.
Aye.
Sagister.
Aye.
Raines.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Wilson.
Aye.
By a vote of 7 ayes, we have adopted bill number 2025-32, which concludes the new business section of our agenda. Mr. Ballard, are you the designated calendar events reader?
You are now.
I am now.
Well, you were the last time. I didn't know if that was something.
June 1st, Bolivar night at Springfield Cardinals. If you haven't got tickets, I think you can still get tickets, but probably not shirts.
Do we know who's throwing out the first pitch?
Zach Palmer.
Is it? Are you doing that, new chief? You throwing out the first pitch?
I think he is.
Okay.
Sweet. June 10th, work session. June 25th, regular session. June 15th, live church Father's Day car show. June 28th, 2025, Rohrbach Services Block Party. 2025 fireworks allowable dates. June 28th to July 5th. August 5th, National Night Out at the Recreation Center.
Thank you very much, sir. I am accustomed to gaveling in executive sessions, but I think I entertain a motion for us to go into executive session.
I move we go into executive session pursuant to RSMO 610.021 subparagraph 1, legal actions, cause of action, or litigation involving a public governmental body and any confidential or privileged communications between a public governmental body or its representatives and its attorney. But first, take a 5-minute break.
Second.
Roll call.
Wilson.
Aye.
Neal.
Aye.
Raines.
Aye.
Sagister. Ross.
Aye.
Ballard.
Aye.
Price.
Aye.
I think we have voted to go into executive session and take a 5-minute break.